Welcome to Silverstone for rounds 13, 14 and 15 in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Reigning champion and championship leader Will Chambers starts second on the grid for this 1A race, but it's John Langridge who takes pole position.
It is indeed, Lloyd, but he's no stranger to the podium. I've seen him up there a couple of times, but can he take it from pole to flag? I don't know. We'll have to hand it over to Jake to run us through the grid.
Thank you, Lloyd and Lyndsay. Beautiful clear skies here at Silverstone National. It's been a changeable weekend thus far. John Langridge and Will Chambers on the front row of the grid from Oliver Allwood and Charlie Burge. Bessel and Comber from Sam Smith all the way down in 7th on the grid and Clive Poles. Jason Greatrex and Brian Trott rounding out the top 10 from Steve Foden and Martin Tolley. Teddy Clark and Paul Bateman, Simon Orange and Jack Brewer, Harry Dean and Sebastian Fisher, with Marcus Bailey and Oliver Robinson rounding out the top 20. Keep an eye on Robinson, he's lower than he should be. Cannon and Burge. Hurst, that is Hector Hurst, the ex-FIA Formula 2 driver alongside Adam Craig, with Will Hayden, Paul Tucker, Ivan Leary and Nick Ledoyen rounding out the grid. Should be a really interesting one. Mazda MX-5 Championship racing on the Silverstone National circuit. When isn't it interesting? The 5-second board goes up with the green flag flown by the marshal at the back of the field. When the lights go out, we shall be racing at Silverstone once again. Let's race at Silverstone. Good start from the front of the field. No problems at all for our pole sitter. Should be a really exciting battle to the first corner as Chambers and John Langridge battle it out for the victory here at Silverstone. Down to Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. We're going to see a really interesting duel between these two, I'm sure. But John Langridge is in the lead. Chambers down to third position. A cracking start from Charlie Burge as they go through Beckett's for the first time. That is Oliver Allwood trying to hold off the attentions of Mike Comber and Sam Smith. We're on board with Langridge as we look back to the cars behind us through the grid. There's a lot of great battles already. Who's that waving? Is that Charlie Burge waving? What's he waving for as he goes down the straight? Could have sworn I saw him gesticulating. Seems like a reasonable first lap to me. Down into the braking zone for Brooklands for the first time. Sunshiny, bright spells, and an amazing start to the race. No problem at all, as everybody has knitted their way through. No problem at all. So the field just going through one by one. And as they tiptoe their way through Luffield at the end of the first lap, it is John Langridge who leads the way from Burge, Chambers. Then it is Comber in front of Smith, Allwood, Jason Greatrex, and the 83 in there is Brian Trott. So a great start to the race already as the drivers are battling away for positions. Down into the braking zone for Copse Corner. A few overtaking moves already being spied as the 77 Steve Foden was looking for a way to move up the order. Hadn't quite made the move stick on that occasion. Allwood, meanwhile, is lining up Mike Comber. That's Sam Smith in there behind Mike Comber at the moment. We're on board with Adrian Burge as he makes his move on the 29. Nice, easy overtaking move in the end as they get down to the braking zone. So I can sense that this is going to be a very long battle with Adam Craig as they battle away. Now somewhere in there is the former FIA Formula 2 racer Hector Hurst, who is taking part in Mazda MX-5 Championship racing for the very first time this weekend. And it's going to be a very interesting outlet compared to his regular racing in sports cars and single-seaters. GTs is what he's been doing recently from what I hear. So the drivers knit their way through a very busy Brooklands corner as the 77 Steve Foden tries to knit his way up the inside of Teddy Clark, who's in a very different car to the one that we've seen over the course of the season. I believe that his previous car has taken a little bit too much damage, so he's in a different motor for this round of the championship. They're all Mazda MX-5 Mark 1s. If you know your way around one, it should be relatively straightforward to find your way around another. There is Charlie Burge trying to get his move on the inside of John Langridge. Langridge in the lead of the race here at Silverstone. Will Chambers, reigning champion and championship leader in third. That is how close Charlie Burge is to us as they go down the straight. You can actually see a little bit of nudging as the Rubbings Racing adage definitely comes into play there. Mike Comber on the back of this quartet as they come off of the Maggots and Beckett's complex down to Wellington Straight and on the power back again. We're on board with Steve Foden now, a little way further back, as he is charging his way forward on the power on the Wellington Straight. You can see down this long Wellington Straight, you're constantly checking in the mirrors to see what's going on around you, as this is a mini Monza in the world of British club racing. It is very fast, very flowing. There's only a couple of slow corners, namely Luffield and Maggots, basically. Maggots Beckett's, that's the only slow parts of the entire course. Everything else is pretty much flat on the floor, other than heavy braking and then coaxing a lot of speed through Brooklands. So that is Blackwell Chambers in front of Comber and Smith. Sam Smith up to 5th position now from his 7th place starting point and is making steady progress. It's now a quintet. It is not a quartet anymore. There's 5 of them in a line. So that is Langridge in front of Charlie Burge. Blackwell Chambers going for the move, and then Comber and Smith, the 2 teammates, in there in 4th and 5th trying to make their own move as they get very close in. Allwood and Trott are in 6th and 7th. They are threatening to join the battle too, and Jason Greatrex is there in 8th position. That could end up being a almighty battle. Now Clive Poles is still in the mix. He's in 9th position. Look back and you'll see him go through. There he is among with a whole host of other drivers. Now Langridge down the straight. A little bit of a rub from Charlie Burge, but this is John Langridge in familiar territory. He knows how to lead races. Really good performance this has been from John Langridge in 2018. He's really stepped up a gear. Now this is the battle behind the top 8. We've got Clive Poles down to 10th position now as Foden is trying to knit his way up the inside of the 67 of Simon Orange. Easy to spot him from a distance. Why? Well, his car is like his name. Up the inside, the 54, Marcus Bailey diving up the inside there of the 29 of Adam Craig as they duel for position. We'll keep an eye on the 76, Hector Hurst, as we watch that little battle. I wonder how far up the field he is destined to go on his Mazda MX-5 debut. Still making some good progress. The top 8 are well clear. Who is that now on his own in 9th position? I think that is Martin Tolley, the 23. I think he's got through and broken clear actually of the rest of the field. So this is the battle of a 10th position. All of these drivers in together as they come off of Copse Corner, back on the power, down into the braking zone for Maggots. Quick flick to the left, then on the brakes heavily. 42 leads the train. Paul Bateman up in front of the 93. So a very steady progress from Jack Brewer. Then it is Sebastian Fisher on the 81 car as he comes through. There's a long queue of cars behind them. In that little mix of drivers in there as well is Lewis Cannon, who's making up some good progress. So Lewis Cannon on the back of Fisher. Now watch, as the leader Bateman comes off the line, they all want to follow him to try and get as much aerodynamic draft as they can. So it's Brewer. Then, of course, it is Sebastian Fisher. Lewis Cannon. Oh, big slide from Foden in behind Simon Orange as they drift around. Very, very tight battling there going on as Teddy Clark again goes wheel to wheel. This time it is with Hector Hurst. So the FIA F2 graduate has got himself into Mazda MX-5 Championship and is rolling up his sleeves big style and getting into the battle. So once again, back on the power, on board with Steve Foden. That is Simon Orange in front of us. We go down into the braking zone for Copse. Not a lot of brakes, just a little tap. Look how much work he's having to go on the steering wheel. He's wrestling that thing just to get it round. It's definitely not a clear turn right. You've got to throw the car in, let the car drift out a little bit, get back onto the opposite locks as alongside each other, side by side. That's Bateman and Fisher having a good duel. Fisher having already got past Brewer and is now attacking Paul Bateman as they come off Beckett's once again and back onto the Wellington straight. And this is the battle for the lead. Goodness me, it's got close as now Comber is through into 6th position now. Sorry, Allwood's come back. Smith is up to 2nd, past Burge, past Blackwell Chambers. So now Sam Smith is looking good for a battle on Langridge, but Burge is back on the inside of Blackwell Chambers. The championship leader down to 4th, Comber down to 6th behind Allwood. Brian Trott in the mix and Jason Greatrex watching in 8th place as Trott goes up the inside there of Mike Comber. They're going to come across the line side by side. And this is a nice move from Trott if he could pull this off. Blackwell Chambers having a little bit of a nibble at Burge, but Langridge, through all of this, is still your race leader from Sam Smith in 2nd position, up from 7th. 94 Burge, 1 is Blackwell Chambers. Then it's Oliver Allwood in 5th position as again Trott and Comber are going side by side. Here comes Smith making his move on the inside of Langridge. Is he through? Yes, into the lead. Langridge has now got to be very careful because Charlie Burge is on his inside trying to make the move for 2nd. I think he's already gone. Then it's Blackwell Chambers trying to make his bid to move up into 3rd position. But a little bit of support from Blackwell Chambers, if Langridge is going to hold the inside line, could get the number 5 back in a 2nd place. And that's exactly what's happened. In fact, he could go for the lead again up on the inside of Sam Smith. There he is. Smith is to our left on the picture, to our right in the car, and Langridge is back through. Thanks, Will. That was brilliant. Working together, they have managed to make their way through. Blackwell Chambers into 3rd, Langridge into the lead. Well, that's great support work there in the Mazda MX-5 Championship. It's I know it's not NASCAR, but in terms of the way that these guys bump and draft and rattle away together and have great race action on the circuit, how close it can be, it is, I suppose, a British equivalent to NASCAR in the sort of style and mode of racing that we get. Doesn't quite take 3.5 hours, but from time to time you see great races in this championship, and you do sometimes wish they could go on longer than 20 minutes. Back down to the braking zone for Maggots and Beckett's. Blackwell Chambers with some support from Charlie Burge as they get into the braking zone, trying to get one over on Sam Smith. Langridge just moves across enough to stop drivers coming through, whilst also having a good enough line to get back on the power without too much time lost. This is a very conservative drive from John Langridge, but he's needing to be very precise and very careful about the way he does things, as otherwise, if you let one car through on the inside and dive past, then a lot of them are going to make the same move, and this is exactly what could happen this time by. That looked like Smith and Blackwell Chambers diving for the inside of Langridge. Smith is through, but Langridge is very careful there. He doesn't let Blackwell Chambers come by, so he's still in second place, but he drifts wide. Blackwell Chambers finds a gap, and he's up on the inside, so Langridge is going to fall to third for the moment. He's going to slot back in behind Blackwell Chambers if he gets a chance. No, he's going to use the draft of Sam Smith to hold off Blackwell Chambers, who's flirting with the curbs on the inside line. Great defense from Langridge. Now Blackwell Chambers is going to hold it to the inside line. He's going to get some support from Burge. Up the inside, Blackwell Chambers through to second, Burge through in a third, and that is just the natural ebb and flow of racing here. Now Langridge has drifted a tiny bit wide. That's enough for Allwood to get a sniff of a move up the inside. And don't forget about Trott and Comber. They are right in the mix as well. This is Mazda MX-5 Championship racing in the BRSCC at its finest. Allwood through on the inside of Langridge. Trott has now dealt with Mike Comber for the moment, and he's going to try and get his move. Comber's going to support him because the aerodynamic draft is going to benefit. Well, he's dropped the tail of Trott. Now Comber's going to get onto the back of Langridge as we watch. Langridge is already starting to find his feet to get back on the inside of Trott. Whoa, that's a late lunge on the inside from Comber, and he's going to get Langridge and Trott in one fell swoop. Bold move from Mike Comber, and Langridge is not going to rise to the bait. He gets on the brakes perfectly and stops the move. Good defending from John Langridge. So the man who was leading now finds himself up on the inside of Oliver Allwood. It's Smith who leads, Blackwell Chambers in second, third is Burge. Langridge is back on the inside of Oliver Allwood. It's not because he's slow that he's dropping through the field at all. He's very quick, and he's proving it here again today at Silverstone. This is just the ebb and flow of Mazda MX-5 racing. Any one of these drivers in the top 8 has the chance to win this race, and they've all got the ability to do it. Allwood now tags onto the back of Comber and pops up to the left, realises there's not enough speed to carry, then he drops back in behind Comber. Brian Trott is going to tag onto the back of him. Is Comber going to make that move on the inside of Langridge? It's going to be late. He uses a lot of curb, and he manages to make that gap stick on the inside of John Langridge. Very nice moving indeed there from the 158. So Mike Comber is through into 5th position for the moment. Now make that 4th position, sorry, I apologise. And now Langridge is trying to find a way to tag onto the back of Burge. Comber through on the inside to hold the line. Allwood is tucking in there behind Langridge with Trott in company. Back into the braking zone for Luffield. This is great work from Burge and Langridge on the defence as they're trying to hang on to their positions. Meanwhile, out front, it is still Sam Smith versus Blackwell Chambers. Many people thinking this could be the championship battle for the remainder of this season between these two. Smith and Blackwell Chambers in first and second. Both of them have had wins this year. Both of them have been incredibly strong. And Comber is going to try and make his bid for third. Up the inside of Charlie Burge. What a drive back from Mike Comber from 6th on the grid. In or around 7th or 8th on the first lap. Now he is up to third position as Langridge is going to make the same move on Charlie Burge if Burge is not quick to respond to it, and he's got some support from Allwood and Trott. Langridge up the inside, squeezed out of it from Charlie Burge. Really good racing here at Silverstone on the national circuit as these guys continue to duel hammer and tongs for the moves. Down the Wellington straight once again and back into view. Blackwell Chambers is waiting for his moment on Sam Smith. It's not going to happen yet. It's a bit like karting, these two out front. They're just working together, using each other's draft to push away from the remaining drivers in this gaggle. 5 of them all squabbling away for third position. Comber is now there, and Langridge is up the inside to 4th place. So Langridge is going to get back into P4. Good driving from John as he makes the move on the inside of Burge. Trott is trying to come through as well. Blackwell Chambers and Sam Smith looking like a couple of kart racers out front, just working together to push away from the rest of the pack, not using the gaggle of cars behind as a deterrent. They're just working away from the rest of the field and starting to get clear. And then in the last couple of laps of the race, I'm sure that's when they'll start battling. They just want to get a gap at the moment, these two. They're old hands at this. They both know how to win the championship in this particular category. One by winning it last year, one by coming oh so close. So now these two are going to work together to get away from the rest of the field, and in those final couple of laps, then it'll be every man for himself. So down the Wellington Straight once again, Blackwell Chambers just doing the work needed. We're on board with Langridge as he's now back in front of Charlie Burge. Now who's behind him? I think that might be Brian Trott, who is there in 5th position. We're on board with the man in 4th place, Langridge, behind Mike Coomber, who's fought his way through. It's Trott, Allwood and Greatrex in pursuit. Look how much travel there is on the car as they come through Brooklands. There's so many different movers, and that's just the tiniest little whiff of a gap for Burge. Langridge gets across in plenty of time to deal with it. So Langridge is not going to lose 4th position off the Luffield there. That would have been a cheap overtake in his eyes if Charlie Burge had got through on that one. That's not happening, mate. Try someone else. Brian Trott is now on the tail of Burge, and that loss of momentum could give Trott a perfect opportunity to size him up for a move. Not into Copse, because that's too high risk, but Burge has got a really good run through Copse, so Trott is going to need to stay right with him if an opportunity at Maggots and Beckett's is going to open up. Here he comes. He's looking to the inside line for Maggots, but that will be the outside line for Beckett's, so Trott's got to need to commit or bail. He's decided the latter and has slotted back in behind Charlie Burge. So these two out in front still, gapping the rest of the field behind them, but now they're starting to work together. They've worked out what these two up front are doing. Hey, don't you dare disappear away from us. We've got as much chance to win this race as you have, and they're working together in unison. So Langridge is playing the support role to Mike Coomber at the moment, using the draft to work their way through as Greatrex gets up alongside Oliver Allwood as they duel for 7th place. Allwood back on the inside. Jason, that was a good move, but I'm wise to it. Don't even try that one. So Oliver Allwood comes off the turn. Jason Greatrex has got a good run through Luffield. He may be able to get 7th on the approach to Copse, but Langridge is now reeling in Coomber. If he's got a good run off Woodcote, which it does look like he's got, there may be a chance to move up into 3rd. We're on board with Steve Foden. He's drifted away a little bit into the mix with the likes of Fisher, the 93 of Brewer. And who's that in the mix there as well with them? Is that Martin Tolley? I think it is. Martin Tolley, being out on your own in no man's land, you don't have the same aerodynamic speed through the turns as you do when everybody else is able to gap each other with support. So being out on his own, he's actually been caught by these three who were battling behind for 10th position. So Fisher, Brewer and now Foden have been able to get close to Tolley and make their way through. Up the inside comes Foden. Oh, this is going to be tricky. Locking on the brakes, Tolley just manages to hang on to the inside line from Foden. Brewer was actually very wise there. He bailed out of the momentum and he's now going to tuck in alongside Foden and Tolley. You can actually see, if you look in the rear view mirror, you can see that Brewer is still right there to the right of Steve Foden. He's drawing up alongside into the braking zone. He's not quite going to have it round the outside of Brooklands, but he is going to keep the car there in the attempt to get through on the inside of Luffield. And now he's got Adam Bessel to deal with, who's tumbled all the way down the order. So Bessel has had a miserable start to his race, but at least he is in the mix of a good battle. Oh, and Bessel goes off. Back onto the circuit, Adam, quickly. That was nicely done. He's lost a couple of seconds, but that's not game over. So Fisher going through with Tolley, Foden, Brewer, and in the background Adam Bessel. Here goes Tolley for the inside of Sebastian Fisher. Diving for the inside of Copse. Nicely through. Is there enough gap to come through on Foden? Well, he's resting enough with the steering wheel to lose the momentum there, so he's going to have to slot back in behind Fisher. Brewer is right on our tail. You can just about make him out in the rear view mirror. He's there or thereabouts. He was drifting left. Now he's going to try and throw it up the inside for the right-hander. Protecting that inside line, Martin Tolley. He does not want to lose the place to Fisher or Foden. And Brewer is going to get an opportunity to gain momentum down the straight once again. He hangs to the right as he did on the previous lap, just trying to use the straight line speed advantage of not being held up in the queue, of hoping to move past one at least. But Foden is protecting that inside line as Fisher tries the outside approach on Martin Tolley. Tolley is making that Mazda as wide as a Buick at the moment to stop anybody coming through. So he's really on the lock stops, on the brakes, trying to keep that car stationary on the apex and not let the car drift out and travel to the other side of the circuit. So that Bessel off just a lap ago is a thing of the past, isn't it? Those four have been battling, and now Bessel's just been able to catch up. Driving with the red mist will certainly be helping as well. Black and white flag showed us somebody. Didn't see who it was, but that's not of interest anymore. Blackwell Chambers has got Langridge and Comber on the inside. They've caught up with the pair of leaders as Allwood and Greatrex continue to duel over 7th place, but it is now a 6-car squabble for the lead once again. Brian Trott is in the middle of all that by the look of it, trying to get one over on Blackwell Chambers. Charlie Burge and Mike Comber still squabbling with the likes of Sam Smith and John Langridge. Smith leading, Langridge second, then it's Comber, Trott, Blackwell Chambers and Burge, and Trott's going to come right round the outside. You have an opportunity on Mike Comber there. Blackwell Chambers down to 5th as a result of all of this jostling. Comber defends nicely 3rd position, and Brian Trott through into 4th. Nicely done as they come off the turn. So it is Sam Smith leading, Langridge, Comber, Trott, Blackwell Chambers, Burge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as they go through together. Absolutely terrific racing between these 6. Getting into the closing stages now. Last lap, anybody can win of these 6. And keep an eye on Allwood and Greatrex in the background. They could steal some massive points if they just keep themselves to themselves. But John Langridge wants to beat Sam Smith in a straight fight. And here at Silverstone, you've got plenty of space to do it. And he's been at the front all day long. Can Langridge continue his epic run from qualifying and get this victory done? It would be quite a story because he's been as far down as 6th position at one point in this race, I think. So Langridge to fight his way back. He's played the long game here, Langridge. Brian Trott through into 3rd place, so he will be very happy with another podium, but he could really do with a victory to boost that confidence even further. Langridge is swarming. He's obviously feeling like he's got a good chance on Sam Smith. Can he get through? He's up alongside. He's going to have to nip back in on the inside. So I think Smith might just be able to hang on to this one. Trott there in 3rd in front of Comber, Blackwell Chambers and Burge. What a terrific battle as they lock up through Luffield. But it is going to be Sam Smith who hangs on for the win in front of John Langridge and Brian Trott. What a race it's been, and that's only race 1 of 3 this weekend in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Langridge will push to the line, but it's not enough. Sam Smith wins it from Langridge in 2nd, Trott in 3rd. Then it's Comber, Blackwell Chambers and Burge in front of Allwood and Greatrex. My goodness, the top 8 close in the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone. Behind them, it is Stephen Foden, who just manages to pit Martin Tolley. I almost called him Trolley there. Sorry, Martin. I was looking at Brian Trott, then fastest lap of the race. That's why. Fisher, Brewer, Bessel, Teddy Clark and Marcus Bailey come next. From Lucas Cannon, Clive Poles, Simon Orange, Will Hayden and Paul Bateman. A great battle through the field with Oliver Robinson in front of Harry Dean and Ivan Leary. The 5 who are demoted to the B group are Tucker, Burge, Hurst, Ladoyan and Adam Craig.
Sam, huge congratulations for us on that. That was a well-deserved 1st place. How did you feel with John being here, there and everywhere?
I don't even remember the race, if I'm honest. I was just trying to be consistent, keep my tyres in and try and get away, but it's almost impossible. I thought I'd done it with Will and then he put a move on me, kind of backfired on both of us really, but yeah, it was hard work. I was looking in my rear view mirror, my right mirror, my left mirror on the last lap, everywhere but where I was going, but yeah, well happy to come away with that with a win. Good start to the weekend and hopefully build on that.
That was almost a photo finish as well, for half a second between you and John. Did you think he was going to pip you?
No, my strongest point's out at the last corner, so once I went into it and came out of it in the lead, I knew I'd have him across the line, but I've got some work to do on other parts of the track, but it might rain tomorrow, so it might be a total waste of time playing with a car.
Are you good in the wet?
Depends how I wake up in the morning, so we'll see in the morning, I suppose.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations, Sam.
Cheers. Thanks, Lyndsay. Thank you.
John, we always say that Mazda MX-5 racing is close, but less than half a second there over the line, and you almost had him.
Yeah, it's always good racing, especially at Silverstone, because you can tow really quickly. But, you know, credit's got to go to my AB Motorsport boys, because they put the fresh cold car together really well. I'm super pleased to have got my first pole position today and to come away with a 2nd place by not really much after having dropped down and then come back up in the race. I'm really pleased.
What can you do tomorrow? Weather's going to change a little bit. It's going to make it a bit more exciting.
Yeah, I'll bring my coat, that's for one. I think it could go any direction tomorrow. It does look like rain at the moment, so could be fun.
Look forward to seeing you out there. Congratulations, John.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Brian, well done. Everybody's already talking that's got to be the race of the year. You started 10th, you came 3rd, you've got to be pleased.
It was a manic race, to be honest, but great fun. It was just getting away with the lead pack. I had to make sure that they didn't get a gap early on, because with the tow round here, they'd have pulled away. So I got on the back of them and then sat there for half the race, just waiting and waiting. and then the car stayed brilliantly. AB Motorsport did a great job with the car and Team Trot, and I think I come away fastest lap as well, P3. I was in the battle and maybe just run out of laps there because the car was still good enough to win, I think.
How did you find with John? He seemed to be everywhere and all over the place all at the same time, but he came second. Did you think you could have got him a few more laps in?
A couple more laps, who knows? I mean, they were battling hard and slowing each other up, so anything was possible still, but obviously the time went so quickly, we just ran out of time.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.